thank you very much for your support here. I've got a friend of the channel, super fan of the channel, Cam Parker, coming back to talk some Gator athletics. And we're going to start off with a question, Cam. Why do you think Denzel left the basketball program? He was going to be a starter, probably the start of the program when he left the program all of a sudden. And I kind of got hurt myself when he left the program because Golden kept him as part of the program to build the program. And all of a sudden, going into his final year, he decides to leave the program. What are your thoughts?
Yes, well, first of all, thank you for having me back on.
No problem. I appreciate you having me coming back on.
The main thing with Denzel, and I think it's already been reported, it was an NIL thing. Golden already made it clear that he was going to start. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There was an NIL discrepancy, I guess. Denzel wanted a little bit more than he was going to be, it seems like. Not sure what Kentucky, what their NIL deal package or whatever for him is, but it was enough for him to enter the portal and go to them. So it's tough. They were going to build the team around him. He was going to be the starting point guard, and now they've had to turn their attention elsewhere. But they've done a good job of building in the portal, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you for pointing out that he was going to be the point guard, because I got into an argument with the next people saying, no, he left because he's going to be the shooting guard. And I was like, no, he was not. He's going to be the point guard.
No, he was going to start. It was he and Xavier and Lee were going to start together. It seems like maybe like dual point guards, dual shooting guards type of deal, where they both just run the offense, and so it had nothing to do with playing time, nothing to do really with position, nothing to do with the fact that they brought Xavier and Lee in. It seems like it was just an NIL thing, and that's going to happen in this day and age. If you're going to have beef over NIL, cut it loose and go get someone else, and that seems like what Florida did.
Do you think Coach Harden is rebuilding the team enough to reload and go for another championship next year, or are we going to see maybe these guys need to get used to Coach Harden and are regressing next year? Not because but because they're not used to each other.
Well, I think going back to back in this sport, it's probably the hardest sport to do it in. I mean, between Florida was the last one to do it before UConn, and it took at least 10, 12, 13 years for it to happen. So I don't know if they'll go back to back. If they get Condon and Chinulu to come back, it'll be huge. But you're right, this is a relatively new team. They're going to have to spend the offseason grinding and getting used to each other. They'll have at least 3 new guys in the starting lineup. Tommy Houck is elevated to the starting lineup too, so you have some familiarity there, but it's going to be a largely new guard rotation, and the guards were the best part of Florida's team last year. So how does Golden go with that? How do they mesh together? What's going to be the game plan with them? Who's going to step up? Florida won the national championship because of Walter Clayton's heroics. So who's going to be that guy next year? So a lot of questions. I think Golden's proved himself that he can exceed expectations. He's got a good coaching staff, even though they lost 2 assistants. They elevated one guy. They brought up another guy. So they're going to be competitive next year for a national championship. They're going to be competitive to repeat. The question is just how far are they going to go? What's this team going to look like? How are they going to mesh together? Or is this going to be they rebuild in year 1, but in 2026 they're the team? So we'll see.
We'll see. I know this question is not on the list I sent you earlier, but how's the bench looking? Because all I've seen is quality starters. I haven't seen no bench per se. Some of the bench players are even leaving.
It's interesting because I think you'll see an elevation of guys who didn't get minutes last year. Isaiah Brown is one specifically that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. They kind of need him to step as a sophomore. They got AJ Brown, his brother, in the portal. I think he'll be kind of the first guy off the bench. They're fighting for Boogie Fland right now, the transfer from Arkansas. I personally think that they're going to get him, and he's going to be your second starting guard. The main question is who's going to be the guy behind Tommy Houck? Who's going to be the guy at forward who was in Tommy Houck's role last year? they don't really have one right now because Sam Alexis also transferred. So I'm curious to see who's going to be that guy. Victor Micic, he was a guy who he didn't play at all last year, but some guys have, some outlets have said that he's a guy who could maybe step up and see minutes next year. So I don't know. It's forward's going to be the question mark for me, depth wise. Just because they have to elevate guys. So we'll see what happens.
And when should we know is Chinning is coming back? Condon pretty much has been active on social media and is pretty much keeps saying that he's going to stay in the NBA draft.
Well, for Condon, it's not a guarantee. He's still weighing out his draft stock. The problem with him is he's a borderline first-round draft pick. So he's not going to stay unless he's a guaranteed first-round draft pick. So unless a team gives him that guarantee that we're going to draft you, he'll stay. I don't know if any team has given him that guarantee yet. So it's. I think he's waiting until the last minute to see. I fully expect Ruben Chinyelu to be back. I think that I don't know when we'll expect that announcement. I think the deadline is the end of the month. So we'll know by then. But I fully expect Chinyelu to come back. Condon, I think it's 50-50. But he's a borderline first-round draft pick. So I think it's 50-50 for him, too. I don't think he really knows. If he gets a guarantee from a team to be drafted in the first round, he'll stay. I don't know if the team's going to do that, so I'm kind of leaning that he comes back. But it wouldn't surprise me if someone takes a chance on him in the first round and he decides to go.
Thank you very much for the question, because I had a question later about Chinelu, but you already answered it. He tried out for two NBA teams. Do you think he's going to stick or?
Chinyelu, I fully expect him to come back. He was only a sophomore last year, so he's got 2 years of eligibility left.
Yes.
I think he's got a lot of benefits to him. He's a great rebounder, great defender, very aggressive. He gets in foul trouble a lot.
Yes.
So I think he needs to still kind of balance between foul trouble and aggression. But all in all, it didn't surprise me that he declared. You can declare, go get experience, go get feedback, come back, use that feedback, and then maybe next year is the year that he makes the jump. He's good to go. So, again, I fully expect him to come back. I think it's just a little too early. Don't blame him for declaring early. Go get the feedback, come back, and run it back as a junior. We'll see what kind of jump he makes next year, but I fully expect him to be back. I'm still iffy on Condon, but I'm leaning him coming back just because there hasn't been that guarantee.
I'm sitting on the seat of my age, see what they're going to do, because they already pretty much did a goodbye letter, and all of a sudden, they may come back, maybe not, so it's like confusing. Should we pay in terms of football, in terms of commitments, because we only have one player, the other two, goodbye, sayonara.
Yeah, recruiting is weird. Like, if you go 10 years ago, you want to be loaded up on recruits early. Now, I don't know if you want that argument because those guys will just flip as soon as they get a better NIL package. And I think kind of learned that lesson because 2 years ago, they loaded up on their class early, and with the DJ Lagway class, and they lost Darius Hayes, they lost Isaiah Williams, they lost. There's a guy who flipped to Auburn, Amaris Williams. They lost a defensive lineman. They lost so many guys. And then you saw last year, instead they started with a light class. And then they made a huge jump in signing day. And I think that's what it's looking up to be, too. They've got a few big prospects coming on campus over the next few weeks for official visits. They have about 4 guys, I think, right now that they have been predicted to land. So they're in a spot that they could slowly add to this class, and then when the games are played, they'll add a lot more during signing day. So I never hit the panic button with recruitment. Those kids flip more than pancakes. We just wait and see. And I like that they got Will Griffin. He'll be the guy that recruits with you. He's the guy that you build the class around. But it's too early to hit the panic button. They have guys that I fully expect those guys to commit to Florida, the 4 guys that committed there. And then they have a lot more that they can make big progress with over the next few weeks.
Okay, so we have to bet and say if it's July going into August?
What was that? What was that?
Should we have to bet it button July going into August and we only have our Will Griffin, one recruit?
I think they'll have more commitments than Will Griffin going into the season. I think you'll see more this summer. I don't know when per se, but I expect that they'll have maybe 5 or 6, hopefully, by the time that the season rolls around.
I think it's this weekend because I'm hearing it's a big weekend for official visits.
Yeah, it's the first one. So the first one's always kind of the biggest next to the last one. The first one is you're going to make your big impressions. You get a early start with some of these guys who maybe are looking at other schools. Well, you get now the first word in, and you can maybe kind of convince them, hey, come back and look at me and come back this season. We'll be ready for you. So it's a big weekend. They have... 24/7 Sports says that they have 22 guys visiting this weekend. I don't know if it'll be all of them.
Is that for this cycle or next cycle?
That's for this cycle.
Okay.
And, a few of them, I don't know if they'll actually be coming because you have guys like Isaiah Williams who just decommitted. You have guys like Xavier and Griffin Haynes who, that's kind of been a weird one. They've got a few guys who I don't know if they'll actually be here. But they'll have a lot of big prospects on them. Trent Henderson is a 4-star, 5-star kind of guy. Felix Ojo is a 5-star who they say.
We're talking about Felix.
Or excuse me, 24/7. That's for June. Let me go to May 30th or May 16th. They do not have it listed. So if you go from on 3, May 16th this Friday, they have a few big guys. So Calvin Russell. It's a fight between Florida and Miami for the 4-star receiver. Chauncey Kennan, 4-star receiver. That's another Florida-Miami fight. Luke Waffle, who is a 4-star, borderline 5-star guy, just released his top schools. Florida wasn't on it, but he's supposed to be visiting this weekend. Can Florida get back into the fight? Felix Ojo, the 5-star offensive lineman. Florida doesn't recruit offensive linemen that great. They get a few 4-stars. They haven't gotten a 5-star in years. Is this the year that they get the 5-star? Can they fight back in it? It seems like Texas is a front runner there, and they've got a few other guys too that are 4-stars going. But those are the main 4 this weekend. So big opportunity to make a jump in some of these guys. Big opportunity to maybe overtake Miami early, and just and all you want to do in these official visits. Make progress. Florida doesn't always ask for commitments in these, and again, you don't want early commitments in the stadium. So if they can make progress for these guys, get in their minds that this is a realistic school that you can come shine at, and schedule a time for them to come this season, that'll be huge. So Felix Ojo, Calvin Russell, Chauncey Kennan, and Luke Waffle are the main guys I'm looking for this weekend. And we'll see what kind of progress Florida makes.
I'm surprised a final list because he did an unofficial visit last month, if I'm not mistaken. He took a picture.
Let me find his final list because I forgot to pull it up. Because I remember seeing it, and I thought that was weird too, but again,
because when I saw this week, that's interesting.
Yeah, his top 4: Ohio State, USC, Penn State, and Texas. And I think Penn State is kind of the school that everyone's watching right now. But yeah, wow. I think that's just the day and age that everyone in recruiting. Kids release top 4s, but they still go take visits elsewhere. Just because you're not in a final list doesn't mean you're out of it. Heck, just because a prospect you want signs at another school doesn't mean you're out of it. Dallas Wilson is the example of that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean what the Giants are doing now, it doesn't mean out of it. Yeah, it's true.
So,
and like, if you were to follow my YouTube channel,
It's just with these visits, all you want to do is you just make progress. If you make progress with these guys, it goes a long way down the line. Even if they commit to another school at the beginning of the season, you can get them to flip. That's what Florida did last year. They missed out on Hilton Stubbs. They missed out on Lagonza Hayward. They missed out on Onis Conanbanny. They missed out on Terrell Jones. Byron Lewis wasn't even on their radar in the summer. What did they do? They signed all of them. And most of those guys are already on campus. So, this visit is about making progress with these guys. If they're committing at the beginning of the summer, sure, maybe you want them to commit then. You want to be the front runner. You really need them to be diligent on signing that paper when it comes to December.
Yep. I made a joke on my channel on a community post about when Isaiah Williams flipped again. I said, it's going to be the last school that he visits in December that's going to sign him because he's been flipping all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know Williams per se. I'm not an insider in that regard. I don't expect him to sign with Ole Miss. That is just my personal thought, just kind of following along from the outside of this.
I agree.
I do not think he's going to sign there. So, again, we'll see what happens, but I don't think that he's going to stay a Rebel.
I agree. I totally agree. Because it's team number 5.
Yeah.
In terms of baseball, do you think they're saving the season, and do you think they're going to really play a role in the World Series?
Well, I mean, their complete turnaround. They went from borderline not making the tournament to now they're guaranteed a regional spot. We'll see what happens from there. I think they're fighting for a hosting spot. If they take the series against Alabama, I think that they're in a good position to host the regional. But we'll see. Alabama's one of the better teams in the country. Florida's so we'll see what you're going to get out of them. The way they're playing right now, they're playing like a College World Series team. Especially because you get Pierce Capola back. Right now, it's just maybe getting Colby Shelton healthy if you can get him. Maybe getting some of the relievers back. But the relievers that are hurt also weren't playing well to begin with. So, how much do you really miss them? So we'll see. But they're playing like a World Series team right now. It's just they are a long ways from getting there. They got to get through the SEC tournament, wherever their regional is, whether home or away. We'll see what happens there. They've always been finicky in regionals over the last 4 years. Then you got to get to the super regionals, which last year, before, was kind of heart attacks watching those games, and then you got to get to the College World Series and get through that. So we'll see. They're playing like a top team in the country right now. Got to keep the foot on the gas.
I agree. I'm proud of them because I thought they were going to flounder the way they started. I said, is the team even going to make some noise? And then fighting back and.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking like that they were going to have the worst season in program history. And I get that this isn't the most historic program. It's a blue blood. Only one national championship, but what Kevin O'Sullivan has done in his career at Florida, he is one of the greatest college baseball coaches of all time. And you were talking about this season being the worst of his storied tenure. It was looking bleak. It was looking like this is going to be a season that you never forget for all the wrong reasons. And all of a sudden, they turned it around. They tipped away. And I think they're what? 12-13 or 12-14 in SEC play, something like that.
12-13. Yeah.
12-14. They started 1-11. So that just gives you all you need to know about how good this team is playing right now.
Yeah. O'Sullivan's been there for a while because he started when I was there. We came to Gainesville, so for him to have won that season, hey, it is what it is. They're not going to have that music. Do you think in this era of NIL, is there still loyalty to a program, or the kids are just out there for the money?
No, there's definitely loyalty. I mean, there's definitely loyalty. I mean, you look at guys like DJ Lagway, Trey Wilson, guys who at the beginning of last year, everyone around the country's like, those guys need to transfer, or other schools could offer a higher NIL package, and they stayed at Florida. So there's definitely loyalty within programs. It's just because NIL is legal now, you're going to hear about it. You're going to hear about, guys who leave schools for checks. You didn't hear about that in the past as much because it was all under the table. It was all illegal. Schools weren't public about how much they were paying players. Collections weren't a thing.
That's true too.
Now that it's public, you're going to hear stuff about negotiations. You're going to hear about the Denzel Hardins, the Isaiah Williams, who's the Nico EMI Lions. You're going to hear about guys like that. You weren't going to hear about those guys 10 years ago. So it doesn't change the fact that there's still loyalty within programs. I think Florida's a great example of that. They retained 98% of their roster after spring. They only lost DeAndre Robinson, get another NIL thing.
Yep.
And Greg Smith,
the
other NIL thing. And then they lost walk-ons, who they got to get rid of walk-ons because of NCAA. So there's still loyalty within the program.
Yeah, true.
Now, granted, you still got to pay the guys, right? Like, guys aren't just going to play for free now. It's just the era that we live in. Some guys, it's easier to convince to play for the because of the loyalty. So it's a balance, but the loyalty still exists for sure.
The reason I came up with that question goes back to, I felt like Alvin stabbed us because he went to Kentucky. You could have got Oklahoma State somewhere else. It's like, come on now. Kentucky. Come on now. Are you for real?
Yeah, that was. I think that was kind of the tip of the iceberg of like how much it was paying loyal. Because there was also the dad about like people that didn't have him or something like that. Like your son was on the floor in the final seconds of the national championship. What more was it? Could you?
Yes.
He hit his starting spot last year, so it's that was weird, and that kind of like, well, what is Kentucky offering? I don't even know if they have parts. It's weird. It's just that we live in.
Yeah. That's the reason I did it, because I was like, he shocked me because if it wasn't for him, we don't win the national title. We don't win the national title because Clayton wasn't playing good that game.
Yeah, and again, people forget too. He started like 5 games in the middle because Clayton and Martin hurt. So he played exceptionally. I mean, he had back-to-back point games, and the guy just that the era we live in where loyalty only goes so far. Whoever has the biggest check out some front.
It's true, don't worry. I got my dog game things in the back, so don't worry. The other thing, based on what you've seen from the spring polls, Josh, I don't know if I remember his last name, has Florida in top 9. I've seen Florida on 11. I've seen Florida in 10. Do you think we're going to be a top 10 team to start off the season? Even though to start off the season doesn't really matter. But do you think we're going to be a top 10 team?
No, I think when the first AP poll comes out. We're in the 20 to 25 range. I also don't think Florida wants better. And last year, they played better when underdog. When their backs against the wall, they played better 5 versus 5 and 4. You know, like they were better when and I think they want to use that chip on the shoulder. The thing is, they should start 2-0. They play Long Island and USF.
Yeah.
How do they get those wins? How do they get that momentum? To have momentum at first. The 4 games was Billy's longest win streak in tenure. So how then it becomes
Yeah.
a 16. How do you on the gas is going to be my question. I think they want to be
Yeah.
a team to be 23, 25, and then they just move up weeks go on.
Yeah, with the schedule, yeah, we can easily jump to top 10, top 5 real quick if we start winning games. So that I understand. But the reason I asked is because I've seen Florida on these polls. USA Today has us 11. Josh Taylor has us number 9. I feel like now but in the 20s, no. I can understand your reasoning behind that. Did you see the five players that they got rated as their highest in their by position? Did you see the article by Zach Alvarez?
I did not know. I did not, but if I had to take a guess, running backs would be one of them.
You can take a guess. Go ahead.
One of them. So offensive line, running backs. Lines, edge rushers, and be the 5 that I would guess.
One of them was Flyer.
One of them was what?
The center. The center.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's the first Florida guy to go back first team All-American. I think Vernon Hargrave might have been the last one to do it.
Vernon Hargrave was the last one, yes?
And then I think on the offensive line, one of the top lines. I don't. So
one of them, yeah.
So you're talking if Jake Slaughter builds off, he's going to go down as the greatest offensive lineman in the history. And that's a thing about considering how many great offensive linemen. But he may be one of the best. He may be on the Mount Rushmore for offensive linemen. Talk about Austin Barber coming back, Damian George, Najee back, expected to make a big second year as a full guard. Bryce Love looked good at right tackle. He was the best.
Yeah.
They have depth position, something that they had. They're going to have a lot more this. So I'm very in my room, and I'm even higher.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Cam, thank you very much for coming. Where can the people follow you and follow your writings? I know where to find you, but where can my people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on a Twitter or X. It's the Florida Gators page on Sports Illustrated. I also dabble in Auburn writing from time to time. That is on my stuff, but our site is the Auburn site. Sometimes go over there and help. So, either Auburn or Florida, you can find.
I have to follow you, even though I don't follow you. I'll follow you on that one too.
I'm just helping out a little bit, man. My Florida stuff is much better than my Auburn stuff. But, yeah. Auburn and Florida sites on Sports Illustrated.
I appreciate you for coming. I'll have you on next month or in July once we know more about the recruits, because I'm not panicking, but it's kind of scary to see this nonchalant attitude with Billy and company. I'm used to I'm used to Steve Spillane. It's like Billy, it's like you gotta wait because if they recruit them too early, then we can have them leave later.
Yeah, to Billy's credit, they did a job with a credit, but we'll see some movement throughout the month. I'll be out there on Sunday, trying to talk to the playing. We should have some recruiting up on our site. Be on the lookout for that, but it's going to be a very busy month.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording so we can talk offline for a little bit, and I appreciate it very much.